All right, class, let's chat. It's Thursday again. Please don't mind the sad, empty shelves. As I said, my family is getting ready to move from Austin, Texas to Atlanta, Georgia. We will begin that move. Well, we will begin that trek from Texas to Georgia next Friday morning. So if you email me next Friday the 8th and you don't get a response until the following Monday, I sincerely apologize, but you probably won't get a response. So please email me before that and I'll try and get back with you as soon as possible. I want to address all of your concerns as early as possible, but there are some logistical things that have to take place. I'm hoping by the time the 11th rolls around, that everything is smooth sailing. We're pretty much back to normal on that, getting quick responses to email, phone calls, texts, whatever. But please be patient next week as it becomes insanity here. So let's talk about what happened this week. You've submitted your surveys, and I am very excited to read through them, and I will go through and do that in the next few minutes. You will all receive some feedback that says you have to rewrite some of the questions. I assume that you all will. That's what's happened in the previous 13 semesters. But the reason for that is, as we talked about, the survey is extremely important. And why? Because it is the only data collection tool you have to answer your research questions. So it needs to be done correctly. And sometimes doing things correctly takes more than one draft. In fact, it almost always takes more than one draft. So that's what's going to happen with the surveys. In some cases, your questions are good, but the wording is not great. The subject of the question is good, but the wording isn't great. Maybe we need to add something like, in your opinion, or from your experience, to kind of soften the topic of the question. Maybe your question is just not going to be approved from the IRB and by the IRB, and we need to fix it completely because you would much rather fix it for me than fix it for the IRB, because if we fix it together, we can make changes so that you can push it through the IRB. If the IRB asks you to change a question or says that your survey hasn't been approved, they don't usually get a lot of information why. It's kind of a guessing game at that point. So we want to remove some of that frustration and guessing game that comes by not being approved by the IRB. In some cases, I will say this question may or may not be approved by the IRB, and we need to just go forward and see what happens, and that's okay. In that case, you know these are going to be the potential problem questions, and we can work from there if the IRB ends up having some issues. Remember, there are some topics the IRB just is going to say no to. If you're asking someone about their own mental health conditions, they're not going to allow you to do that. You have to go through a full board review to be able to do that, and you need to have a faculty advisor who is willing to stay on it and basically stake their reputation on your survey. It's not that I'm not willing to do that, it's just we don't have time to go through a full board review. That's a 3 to 6 month process. We don't have that time in this class. So we're going through an exempt review, which really limits what you can and cannot ask, and that's okay. Our goal in this class isn't to produce some amazing piece of new research. Like I've said before, our goal is to know how the process works, and part of knowing how the process works is knowing how you would go through an IRB review. Even the exempt review. The exempt review goes through the exact same application, but your presentation to the IRB is not there. All you're giving them is the application. So, that being said, you will receive feedback on your surveys. Please don't be too offended by the feedback. You are all doing a great job. We just can make some things a little bit better, and that's okay. So we've talked a lot about the IRB. Next week, you are going to submit your application to the IRB. What does that mean? Well, basically, there's a link that you click in the lesson, and one person, just one, I need signs for these videos, but just one person from the group submits the IRB application. It will take about 30 minutes. If you want to submit it during your weekly meeting, that's a great time to do it. You can screen share and go through the process. It's a very, very simple 30 minutes. Might be a really generous estimate. If you get up and get a snack, maybe it will take 30 minutes, probably less. So one person needs to do that and one person needs to do that by 11 p.m. on Wednesday the 6th. And then the way that you receive credit for that assignment is once you receive confirmation from the IRB that your study has been approved, and you will, it will come in the form of an email. You will forward me that email, and I will put it into iLearn and say that you got a grade for completing the IRB application. If I do not receive an email confirmation from you, forwarded to me from the IRB, you will receive a big fat 0, and it will be sad. So keep this in mind. I do not receive a copy of your IRB application. So unless I get that forwarded approval email from you, I don't know that your survey has been approved or even that it's been submitted. Your study, not your survey. So you have to do your part to get credit for this assignment. The confirmation and approval email needs to be sent to me by the 13th, but your submission of the application needs to be done by the 6th. If you're submitting by the 6th, you should most likely hear from the IRB no later than the 11th, but we're leaving a few days for wiggle room in case they get extra busy, and they probably will be extra busy this time of year. So what does that IRB application need to include? Well, it's going to include at least a condensed form of your literature review. It's going to include your method section. If you were asked to edit your method section and return it to me for approval, that needs to be done no later than Monday the 4th so that you have time to get that approval in time for that 6th deadline. So you're going to submit the updated method section and you're going to submit the updated survey. If you are asked to make changes to your survey, you need to send it back to me with those changes for approval before you can submit it as part of your IRB application. Failure to submit those edited methods and surveys when asked will result in a point deduction because that is going to create problems with the IRB and that is going to slow down the process for every student in the university that is asked to submit an IRB application. And we are not going to be those people. So make those changes and things will go much smoother. If you have any questions about those applications or about the survey feedback that you received, please go ahead and email me. I will get back to you as soon as possible. I want to make sure that we all understand each other and that we're on the same page. Now, last thing, I received all of your mid-course peer evaluation feedback. I believe, unless you received some email saying that you did not submit your assignment. If you do not have a grade yet for your mid-course peer evaluation, that means that I didn't receive feedback from one person in your group, and I'm working on getting that so I can create your grade. So I can calculate your grade. Remember that your grade is based on an average of the scores given to you by your teammates. I did not alter your grade in any way. What you got is what your teammates gave you. So if you have some concern about what you got, then please go ahead and reach out to me. I can't tell you about specific comments, but if your grade is lower than you think, it's probably because your teammates don't think that you're putting in the full effort. Please, 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 please put in the full effort. I know that we are all busy. I know things come up. I know there are funerals, births, weddings. I have to work late. My kid is sick. I know the list. Trust me. I know the list. We are all busy. Please do not make your busyness someone else's problem. If you are busy and you have a legitimate reason, like, I have the flu, take a day, regroup, and then get back to the group. Email them so they know what is happening, because I think that a lot of the mid-course peer evaluations were potentially more generous than they should have been based on some of the comments I received. We all need to pull our weight. I know we are busy. Trust me. I know that people are busy, and I know that things come up and things slip through the cracks, but you need to try hard. Think of this as a professional situation. If you were at work and someone got sick, or there was a funeral, or there was a water main break at your house, or I'm just trying to go through the list of things that could happen to you, you would find a way to figure it out. So please, 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 please think of this as your job. Find a way to figure it out. And if for some reason you cannot figure it out and you cannot participate to the full extent, let your team know, because that is what you would do in a professional situation. You would let your team know that for some reason you were dropping the ball and were unable to complete your tasks. Let them know. I didn't want to is not an excuse. I didn't have the internet is not an excuse. You can figure it out. And you can send a text message and you can send an email. I know you can do it. I have faith in you. You can do it. Okay, so we're in for an exciting week. Get ready. It's going to be exciting. The surveys are going to be exciting. We're going to start sending them out soon. So get pumped.